G'day, ZiggyD here with another cookie cutter build for the 1 hour races in Path of Exile. I had a few requests to cover a spec for the 1 hour races that was a bit less stressful. A few people have played it and said that they felt like they were always, too close to dying. So I thought, let's take a look at the Marauder because nothing really stays alive in the races quite like a Marauder. So as always, let's start off with the skill gems that we'll be taking from our quest rewards. You start off with Heavy Strike, and that'll be your main single target damage, using against bosses and some elites, but you won't be using that too much. The main skill you will be using here is Ground Slam, so take Ground Slam from the HILLOCK quest there. Mercy Mission, you don't actually need any of those skill gems at all. I would suggest completely skipping it, however I think you really do need that Quicksilver Flask to be competitive and to level quickly enough around the ledge and other areas and things like that. So I still recommend doing Mercy Mission once you get the waypoint from the ledge. Head back and do it quickly, kill HILLOCK, kill HAILRAKE, and get your Quicksilver Flask, and the gem really doesn't matter. From the Glyph Wall quest, I recommend taking the DECOY totem. That can just help out a little bit with the boss fights, but again, this quest isn't a huge one. I would suggest taking Fireball just to be able to trade it in with an Iron Ring to get a Cold Resist ring, but as you'll see in our passive skill tree soon, we don't actually need any Cold Resist rings at all in this build to be able to take on Merveil. Now from the Brutus quest, you have a couple choices. You've got Leap Slam, which is the one I probably recommend. Simply it gives you excellent mobility and can actually be faster than running around. It can allow you to leap down cliffs and things like that, which the area just after killing Brutus is actually really much quicker to get through if you do have a Leap Slam. So I recommend Leap Slam, and it works perfectly with the two-handed maces that we're going to be using, which I'll cover in a little bit more depth later on. Otherwise, your other choice is Angry if you feel like you want a bit more damage. However, with a two-handed mace, you probably don't really even need the extra damage. You're going to be one-shotting most things with Ground Slam anyway. And then from the Merveil Siren's Last Cadence quest, added fire damage is pretty much the clear winner there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the passives tree, which I think is fairly interesting. Actually, first let's cover the weapons, because basically your first point of interest is going to be in getting the Driftwood Maul. This is one of the highest damages you can have at this point in the game at level 3. Now you can actually buy one of these from the vendor usually using some of your identifier scrolls. However, it's sort of a choice up to you whether you feel like you want the Coral Ring over the Driftwood Maul. You can try your luck and try and see if you can find a Driftwood Maul instead. If you can't find one immediately, you can use one-handed maces, as they work just the same with Ground Slam as well. Your main weapon that you're going to be trying to get though is a really good Tribal Maul. Now this has a required strength of 35, which is important a little bit later on, and I'll explain why. And eventually you'll be able to use the mallets as well if you happen to find a good one, but that doesn't seem to happen all of the time. Most of the time you'll be using a well-rolled rare Tribal Maul if you can find one. So let's go ahead and take a look at the passive tree now. And I'm actually going to reset this because I want to explain this sort of in sequence, because there's a few interesting points about this. So at level 1 we're going to go ahead and grab 12% increased melee damage, because there's not too much risk at dying in the early zones, and that extra damage just makes you kill things a little bit faster. From there we're going to go life, 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 and that puts us at level 7. Now from there, enemy critical strike multiplier reduction isn't a big deal and doesn't really help you that much, but we kind of need it to be able to do something else I want to do. Heart of the Gladiator is a fantastic ability, 30 extra maximum life and extra strength. Actually, just back it up for a little bit. So here we're at level 7. Let's go back and take a look at those weapons there. The Driftwood Maul becomes available at level 8 and has a strength requirement of level 35. In this spec so far we have 30 strength. So if we zoom out a little bit again, we have a choice here. If you don't have any gear with strength on it, so you are still at 30 strength at level 7, and you have a Tribal Maul lined up to use, then you need to take this strength node here. However, if you happen to find a strength amulet, a strength belt, or anything else with the strength mod on it, then you won't need that. You'll be over 30 strength and you'll be able to use the Maul anyway. So then you can just head straight through here. Now, it's not a huge deal if you have to take that strength node. It probably just means you're going to have one less cold resist when we get to Merveil, which we'll head to now. So basically, heading through the Heart of the Gladiator, strength, diamond skin for 15 resist, then 15, 15. That gives us 45 cold resist by the time we get to Merveil. So if we take a look at this here, we're at level 14 for that final one there. If you're taking on Merveil a little bit earlier, you can not get that extra cold resistance. It's not going to be useful after Merveil at all. Now once you're to that point, once you've killed Merveil and you're farming in Act 2, pretty much the only thing you really need is damage. So we're going to go down here, melee damage, 200 weapon accuracy, 200 weapon damage, and butchery. And that puts us around the top level there. So that should be the max level most people will reach in a 1 hour race. From there you've got a few choices, like getting armor can be a good idea if you're going to push a little bit further into Act 2. You can pick up extra resistances. The flask life mod passives are always good. And you can easily just pick up more melee damage and things like that from this area here. All pretty basic stuff really, just get more damage or survivability. It's up to you to gauge at that point. But for the main part, the main idea of the build is to basically rush for cold resist for Merveil, so you don't need any cold resist rings at all, to have a ton of life and a decent amount of damage to supplement the damage from your Mauls, which is going to be fantastic anyway. This is a really solid cookie cutter setup for a Marauder. Marauders typically aren't as fast as some builds like Shadows and Rangers, who can take advantage of really fast moving ranged AoEs like Fire Trap and Poison Arrow, but it's a very reliable build, and if you find you're having a lot of trouble with dying in the 1 hour races, then this might be a good one to try. I think I'll actually give this a try in the next 1 hour race I play as well. So anyway, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.